Have you ever had a magic trick with cards presented to you by a magician and, you know, they tell you to pay close attention to a card, right? But meanwhile, they're usually doing something else. That's why it's a magic trick, right? So you're actually kind of being distracted by something so that you perceive the overall experience as a magic trick, right? Well, it's wild to me when people do pretty much the exact same thing, right? I'm looking at it and I'm just seeing that people can have a tendency to distract you from who they really are, right? And when you look at it, it's like, well, you take a magic card trick, right? And you see the magician, and you see that they are presenting information to you in a very specific way. They're presenting a visual image or representation to you in a very specific way, and maybe they're pointing you in that direction, or they're pointing you in that direction, right? It's fascinating to me how people do the exact same thing, right? One of the most important things that I've learned along my journey of healing is to see everything for exactly what it is and nothing else. And in this case, specifically, people, also known as objects, right? Now, people can be very good at distracting you from who they really are. And they don't really, I don't know if they intend to do it like a magic trick, but, what they will do is they'll point at another object, another person, and maybe they will put the focus on that person. And, for whatever reason, right? So that they can maintain their image of how you perceive them, because that's what their goal is, to do that. And so, I've kind of realized at this point in my, just like as an accumulation of just years of dealing with people, people kind of present themselves, not everyone, right? But I've had experiences with people where they present themselves, in one way, right? But when you kind of take a step back and you look at how things unfolded, it's like essentially that they were trying to do a magic trick in front of you, right? Pay close attention to this object, right? When in reality, this object is the one that you're supposed to pay attention to. But no, I'm going to wave this shiny object around so that it distracts you from this, right? That's essentially what a magic card trick is, right? You're being distracted. You're being distracted from something else to see something. Or yeah, anyway. And it's wild to me that people can do the exact same thing, right? They will present themselves one way, and they will utilize other objects, meaning other people, or just even things, right? Like actual, inanimate objects to distract you, right? And this is why allowing yourself to see everything for what it is and not buying into what's being said and all of the noise, all of the words and everything, seeing everything exactly for what it is the key here, right? And now the thing is too that I've noticed is that when you don't allow yourself to be distracted by what they're trying to do or what they're trying to show you as to distract you from themselves, they start to catch on that you're not buying into the dynamic, the game, right? And that might actually frustrate them, because then they see that your perception can't be toyed with, and they don't want to mess with you, not because they're scared of you, but because the way that you see things won't play along with how they try to present things to you, right? Like, if for whatever reason a magic card trick does not work on somebody, like the game's over and that's it, right? So essentially it's like people are playing games with people where they are distracting the person from who they really are by maybe saying, for instance, that person did this to me, right? And I blame them for the fact that my life is the way that it is, you know. And it's just fascinating to me. I mean, that in and of itself is like, all right, well, you lack responsibility, accountability. You're not willing to take the power back on yourself and, you know, put in the work to get better, right? Yeah, I guess you could call it blame shifting, right? Seeing everything for what it is. I'm amazed at, you know, just like how people can do that, right? Like, it's like they will present themselves as a magic card trick to distract you from who they really are, right? And if you don't fall for it because you know how that shit works, then they don't want to play with you. And when I say that, I mean they don't want to have any kind of relationship with you because they can't manipulate you. They can't, you know, try to get you to believe that they are actually this wonderful thing and somebody else fucked them up. No, like it's wild. Um, People can be very good at distracting you from who they really are, and if you buy into it, if you allow it all to play out, you will be very blindsided. Um, and again, I just like the distraction, blindsidedness. That's how it works. You know, they want you to they want you to be overwhelmed and, you know, distracted by the smoke and mirrors, right? And then you know, sometimes what will happen is if it, you know, goes for long enough, they might have you looking in a mirror thinking that you're it, that you're, you know, it's just it's wild. um I'm so fascinated by it. I really am. It's such a fascinating thing. So again, really just having the unwavering ability to see everyone for who they really are. And one of the most important and productive ways to do that is to really have a very good sense of differentiation between self and other, right? If you are aware of yourself, if you know your stuff, you have healthy boundaries, self and other, you know, you're not going to get so caught up in other people's stuff, especially when they try to project or displace onto you, right? Um, but if you approach it all, if you approach the social game like a magic card trick, um, I think that it would probably change everything, because if you're anticipating to get tricked, right? I'm not encouraging people to anticipate to get tricked in social life. I'm really not. I don't think that that's a healthy way to live. But what I do think is important and crucial is to be very aware of dynamics and how people present themselves to you, right? If somebody is trying to distract you from them, notice it. If someone is trying to get you to focus on somebody else rather than them, notice it. Um, you know, if somebody blames somebody else for the reason that their life sucks, focus on that person and not the other person that they're trying to, you know, point the finger at. Um, it's very fascinating. People will do a lot of things to get you to focus on somebody else rather than them. And just seeing it for what it is the key. That's the ticket out.